there's this guy who's like, I don't know what country he's from. Maybe he looked like he might be from Yemen or something like that. And he assumes that because we're black, that he can turn up his hip hop. And it wasn't just like run-of-the-mill hip hop. It wasn't like, you know, the Run DMC Christmas special or, you know, just some very mild-mannered stuff. This was, you know, nigga, bitch, hoe, kill a nigga, this and all this. I mean, this was literally the most ratchet stuff that you can ever imagine. You know, man talking about I pull out my penis so the girls can. He didn't say penis either. I pull out my you know what to do blah blah blah, and then I put my Percocet in my cup and I get like literally. He was the songs, and it was. And I was trying to pay attention which artist it was. And I didn't yell at the Uber driver. I just kind of listened. Like I don't really like to preach at people. I just listen. I just pay attention. I soak it up. So I'm soaking up and I'm analyzing the lyrics. And I was saying to myself, I said, I don't even know exactly who this is, but I remember that it was. I asked him who it was. One of the songs was from a guy named Kodak Black, the guy who said he doesn't like dark-skinned black women. Another one was a guy named 21Savage. Another one was a group called the Migos. And in the songs that I heard literally what I consider to be kind of the textbook formula for black male genocide that's being fed to millions of black boys to make sure that you never ever wake up and become liberated. It's designed to make sure you stay asleep so they can keep killing you and stealing from you. The textbook formula, and I want you to pay attention, when you listen to a hip-hop song, don't spend all your time being mad about it, because some of the music's actually good music. You know, like my son was, his girlfriend was kind of surprised. She was like, I was surprised that you said you liked the song. I said, yeah, this is good music. The songs are great. It's just the problem is that if you got your 10-year-old listening to this stuff every day, he's going to grow up and become a worthless piece of shit. You know, and so anyway, the formula goes like this. The formula of a hip-hop song, pay attention. Most of the songs will mention something about, you know, sex. Like, here's how much sex I'm getting. I'm going to get your girl and I'm going to make her do blah, blah, blah to me, whatever, right? Very disrespectful to black women. Black women, you have been disserved by hip-hop for the last 25 years. And as a black male, I'd like to apologize. And I really think that we got to address this as a community. But for some reason, we don't talk about it, but we should. Number two. There is always some reference, typically, to getting high or drunk. And what black men and black women have to understand, this is important for you to understand, this, you know, ladies, when you're picking a man, or men, when you're talking about being competitive, no man can ever compete with another man if you're high and drunk all the time. You see, alcohol and drugs are used to make you vulnerable, and people who are vulnerable are exploited. It's like a person who walks through the alley with a $100 bill hanging out of their pocket. It's a dark alley. They're going to get robbed. The reason that rapists try to get women drunk or slip drugs in their drink is because when the woman's drunk, she doesn't know what's going on, so he can take the sex from her. He violates her in that context. For men, they get you high and drunk because they know that you're not alert, you're not aware. Malcolm X used to say the white man will sell you the liquor bottle and then he'll lock you up for being drunk. And so the thing is that they know that if they keep black men high and drunk, and you focus on chasing the liquor and chasing the weed and chasing the Percocet and all of that, you'll never be a threat. You'll never be a competitor. You'll never be relevant in this world. All you'll be is this ridiculous piece of crap on the corner whining because the whole world is running right past him. You see, and that's the thing. So that's why they promote mass drug and alcohol consumption to young black men. So these poor guys, there's actually a campaign right now called Kick the Cup. It's a hashtag, Kick the Cup, and there's a rapper who did it where he said, I got this bottle of lean, it wasn't lean, it was cough syrup, I guess, that he puts it in to make the lean, or what, I don't even know how to make it. I know it involves Sprite and cough syrup, that's all I know, and maybe some Kool-Aid or something. But anyway, he poured it out, and he said, this stuff will mess you up, it'll kill you. And he said, I know it because I used to drink this all the time. And I'm so happy to see men do that. I'm happy to see hip-hop artists finally realize that a man can't be a man if he's always high and drunk. Think about this. Some of y'all, if you have an alcoholic in your family or a drug addict in your family, I want you to tell me, raise your hand, say something, let me know, because I had alcoholics in my family, I had drug addicts in my family, I had people in my family who, oh, that's so funny, speaking of rappers, Willie D's calling me right now, actually, and we gotta talk, I gotta call him back, but I'm gonna bring him back into the Black Business School, because I think he's got a lot of interesting stories from being with the Ghetto Boys. He's a really, really good guy, very, very smart guy, and so anyway, the thing about it is that, a man can't really compete if he's drunk. In fact, I remember hearing a story about World War II where when they tried to, after the war was over, they were trying to get the German scientists back to the United States, and the Russians were trying to get them to come to Russia because they wanted their technology. They wanted to get the valuable information that they had in their head. And the scientists said, no, we don't want to leave Germany. We don't want to go to Russia. We want to stay here. So they said, okay, that's cool, stay here, no problem. So they said, we will hold party for you. So they said, we bring you party, we bring you vodka, so you will have fun. So you know what they did that night? They got all the scientists together for this big party they were having for them. So they all got together at the club or whatever, and they gave them all this vodka, all the vodka they could drink. And when they all got drunk, super drunk, you know what they did? They said, now we got their asses. They threw them in the back of the truck and they kidnapped the scientists and took them to Russia. And they violated them because they weren't alert enough to know what was going on. So my point is to say that in that second piece of the what I would call almost like the genocidal hip hop formula, the second piece usually involves some sort of mass promotion of drug and alcohol consumption. Because if you're high and you're drunk, you're not going to spend your time reading and learning and building. The world is run by people men and women that are industrious. The world is run by people who are grinding. The world is run by people who are focused. The world is run by people who play chess. The world that gets dominated are the people who are playing checkers. So anyway. The third piece to the hip-hop genocidal formula is some reference to like a weapon or a gun. Like if you mess with me, like I think I heard 21Savage say something like, it was like that mumble rap. You know that mumble rap where literally for some reason now being a literate black man is like out of style. Like actually being a black man who uses complete sentences is considered like lame, or being a black man who wants to actually read and be intelligent, it will make you like a worse rapper as opposed to a better one. Fortunately, we have rappers like B-Dot the God who fight against that, but it's real, so he's literally mumbling along in the song, mumbling to a beat. These aren't real rappers. Like real rappers on the street corners are actually geniuses that know how to come up with excellent lyrics right off the top of their head. These guys can't do a battle rap because they're not real rappers. They're literally hired by white people to embarrass black people. So anyway, in the song, I think he says something like something about a gun. My gun will give you blood clots. Like there's always some creative reference to I'll kill another black man if I have to, right? So that's how they promote the consistent death of black men. So first, there's sexual irresponsibility, creating kids everywhere that you can't take care of. So you got traumatized babies, and you got STDs being spread all over the place, as well as other things, face false rape allegations, all kinds of whatever happens, or real rape allegations, right? Then you got drugs and alcohol, which leads to additional death. That's why you got a lot of guys my age who died literally from drinking so much lean, smoking so much weed or whatever. They get about 35, 40 years old. They start having strokes, seizures, stuff like that. Rick Ross is in that category. Lil Wayne is in that category. You saw Pimp C go down, and it's not dissing those guys. It's just real life. It's just real talk. The third area is the violence with the guns. People talk all day about police killing black men, but what they don't understand is that honestly, when I've had situations where my life was threatened, it usually was by another black man. I can't think of. I had my life threatened by a couple times by white folks back when I used to write articles at the University of Kentucky, and I used to get death threats or whatever. But really, a lot of the greatest threats I've seen in my life have come from other black men. Just being 100 real with you about this, because there's an encouragement for black men to kill each other. That's why in the South Side of Chicago, there are kids who told me that literally they'll just go in the back alley and find a box of guns, and nobody knows where the guns came from. They want you to die. They don't want you competing. You see. So then what's the next area? There's some sort of reference to money or senseless materialism, right? So it's like I'm sitting in the Benz, or I just bought me a mansion, or I charter private jets, right? Something that kind of says, look at me, I got money, I got women, I got weapons, and I'm getting high, right? That's kind of literally the standard formula of most hip-hop music, and it's usually put to a nursery rhyme beat, because nursery rhyme beats are good for brainwashing you. They get to your subconscious, and the nursery rhyme beats are what we liked when we were 5, so the same thing we liked when we were 5, we like it when we're 35. Now, I see Daryl in here. I don't know. I think Daryl might be trying to turn his video on, so I'll let Daryl get that together. Feel free to make any comments. I had to sort of make this point because the thing about it is that when you're talking about investing, the number one investment of any community is its children. The number one investment of any community is its children. So when I think back to that day when I was at Simmons College and I saw these little black boys on the football field practicing, I'll never forget. I remember I was out there. These kids were little, like 8 years old, with the pads on, and maybe 10, I don't know. And I got there at 5 o'clock. The little boys were practicing at 5 o'clock. All the coaches were standing up there. I come back like 8 o'clock, the little boys are still out there practicing. And I thought about it and I said, my goodness, this is so interesting. I hope that all these boys have done their homework. And then I say, well, there's only 24 hours in a day. It's hard to practice that hard at more than one thing, right? If you're practicing football 3 hours a day, I don't know how it's difficult to also study 3 hours a day. So I was thinking to myself, what if we had a country where black boys worked as hard and learning as we spend learning how to play a sport? Like, what if we spent as much time learning how to start businesses, learning how to read, write, and do math? How is it that a kid can get to the age of 18? Think about this. This is the Jedi mind trick that's played on you black people. Seriously, I'm talking about you black people, me black people. We're all in this together. The Jedi mind trick that's played on us is this idea that we can have some kid who is an expert at a sport, who literally has done thousands of hours of training on how to dribble a basketball. They know the difference between in the football field, they know the difference between the West Coast defense and the West Coast offense, and they know the nickel dime defense, all this other stuff. They memorize playbooks this thick. They become experts on every possible scenario imaginable on a football field, but then you get them in front of a book and they're like, oh, I can't read. I don't really want to read a book. I don't like to read. Like they're literally 18 years old reading at the level of a 7-year-old. What kind of husband is that man going to be to his wife when his wife needs him to go out in a world filled with white supremacy and learn how to actually solve a problem? What kind of father is he going to be to a child when the child says, Daddy, I need some money. I need, $100 so I can get some new shoes. And the daddy can't, and the white man ain't hiring. What kind of leader is he going to be for the family when they need him to be able to go out here as a man and figure out how to navigate a very complex world in which every single factor in this society wants to see him dead or in prison? He's not going to make it. So what I'm just trying to say to you is that I can't change everybody's mind, but I can sit here and just sort of say to you what I'm seeing and let you know that what I'm seeing is really very, very disturbing. Now, Daryl, can you hear me, man?
I can hear you fine. Can you